vast and wild territory of the Old West, where the law arrived late and danger arrived early, men arose whose very name was enough to chill the blood. Outlaws who answered to no one, fast guns, nervous fingers, and lives marked by violence. Today, you will learn the true story of three of the most dangerous criminals who ever rode the American frontier. Not the Hollywood version, not the gilded legend, but the raw, documented, brutal, and completely real history. Prepare to discover how a 15-year-old boy became a killer feared by the Texas Rangers, how a charismatic young man with an easy smile brought the New Mexico territory to a standstill, and how a man considered a hero by some was, in reality, one of the most calculating criminals of his era. Welcome to the Old West's most dangerous outlaws. John Wesley Hardin, the man who killed because someone snored too loudly. John Wesley Hardin was born in 1853 in Texas, a land marked by wars, racism, and the chaos following the Civil War. His father was a preacher, a religious man. But even that couldn't save young John from the brutality that surrounded him. Texas was a territory where an argument could end in bloodshed, where justice depended on who drew fastest, and Hardin grew up seeing that every day. By age 14, he already carried a gun. By 15, he had already killed a man. Hardin later claimed he shot in self-defense, but the records from the time tell a very different story, that he killed an older man without clear provocation. It was the beginning of a life marked by death. From that point on, Hardin became a whirlwind. In less than 5 years, he was involved in over a dozen killings, many for absurd reasons. The most famous case occurred in a hotel. A guest was snoring too loudly. Hardin, annoyed, took his pistol and fired through the wall. The man died instantly. By the time the police arrived, Hardin had already escaped. This was not an honorable duelist. He was not an elegant gunslinger. He was an impulsive killer, capable of murdering over a gesture, a word, or a noise. The Texas Rangers, the most feared law enforcement body on the frontier, began pursuing him obsessively. Hardin, however, seemed to have 9 lives. He jumped from moving trains. He changed identities. He rode for days without rest. He was an armed ghost. But a ghost cannot run forever. In 1877, the Rangers finally cornered him. Hardin tried to draw, but this time, he wasn't fast enough. He was arrested, beaten, and dragged away in chains. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. In prison, he read law books, studied, and became quiet, perhaps for the first time in his life. In 1895, he was released from jail. He tried to earn a living as a lawyer. But you can't escape the West, or the past. He was murdered by a shot to the back of the head while playing dice in a bar. The most feared man in Texas died without even seeing his killer. Billy the Kid, the young man who smiled before pulling the trigger. Before becoming an elusive ghost, Billy the Kid was simply Henry McCarty, a thin, shy, and very intelligent boy. His mother, Catherine, was the light of his life. But tuberculosis killed her when Henry was barely 14 years old. That day, the boy's world completely collapsed. No family, no money, no home. In the West, that was equivalent to a death sentence. But Henry had something other boys didn't: absolute determination to survive no matter the price. Billy was an enigma. In the saloons, it was said he had impeccable manners, that he helped wash dishes to get food, that he was polite, joking, charming. But if you provoked him, if you threatened a friend of his, if you tried to take the little he had, then the kid appeared. He drew so fast that some claimed you didn't even see his hand move. Others said he shot with both hands and never missed. The kind smile vanished. His gaze hardened. And before you was no longer a boy, there was a predator. In 1878, the New Mexico territory was ablaze in a brutal conflict. The Lincoln County War, ranchers, merchants, corrupt politicians, all fighting for power. Billy joined a group called the Regulators. And there, in that chaos of ambushes, chases, and selective killings, Billy stopped being Henry McCarty and became Billy the Kid. He was fast, audacious, unpredictable. He could enter an enemy settlement, shoot, disappear, and reappear from behind. He seemed to move with the desert, as if the wind covered him. Newspapers began to talk about a young killer, impossible to catch. An armed specter. In a confrontation against Sheriff William Brady, Billy killed 2 men from the opposing side. For many, it was justice in a war without rules. For the law, it was an unforgivable murder. That day, Billy stopped being a soldier within a local conflict and became a recognized fugitive throughout the territory. In 1881, Pat Garrett, an old friend, achieved what no one had achieved in years, capturing Billy the Kid. He was taken to the Lincoln jail. 2 guards watched him day and night. The entire town awaited his execution. Everyone thought the kid had finally met his end, but they were underestimating the ghost. Billy pretends to struggle with his handcuffs. A guard approaches. Billy takes advantage of a lapse. He strikes the guard, grabs his weapon, and fires. He races down the stairs, handcuffed, shouting orders to confuse the others. A second guard runs toward the window. Billy sees him, aims, and fires from the staircase. The guard falls dead. Billy breaks the chains, grabs a rifle, and before leaving, he walks slowly down the main street, looking up at the tower where they might shoot him. But no one does. People saw the kid as a force of nature, not just a simple criminal. Billy mounts a horse and escapes. The citizens couldn't believe it. They said Billy was born with divine luck, that bullets respected him, that death wanted him, but couldn't catch him. Sheriff Pat Garrett tracked the boy's every step. In Fort Sumner, he entered a dark room, saw a silhouette, and fired without asking. Billy fell to the floor. A single shot. No duel. No chance. No glory. Thus died the young man who had defied the entire New Mexico territory. 21 years old, a young corpse, and an eternal legend. Jesse James. To understand Jesse James, we must first forget everything Hollywood told about him. He was not a hero, he was not a Robin Hood, and he was not even an elegant thief. Jesse James was, from his origins, a product of war, hate, and the crudest violence. Missouri was a battlefield even before the Civil War officially began. Pro-slavery gangs and abolitionist groups clashed on roads, farms, and small towns. And young Jesse, barely a teenager, grew up breathing that atmosphere. His home was constantly visited by armed guerrillas. His mother, a fanatical Confederate, fed rebel soldiers and offered them refuge. Jesse saw rifles on the dining room table, pistols hanging in the kitchen, blood-stained uniforms being washed in the yard. That was his world. Jesse was only 16 when he joined the Bushwhackers, one of the most violent guerrillas of the conflict. These groups didn't fight like an honorable army. They attacked by surprise, burned farms, executed prisoners. It was dirty warfare, without rules. The guerrilla captain saw something dangerous in Jesse. Coldness. He didn't hesitate. He didn't tremble. He didn't question. They taught him to ride a horse as if it were an extension of his body, to shoot from the saddle without stopping, to dismount, roll on the ground and shoot from behind a rock, to vanish into the trees. When the war ended, Reconstruction began for many Americans. For Jesse, the void began. Peace was unbearable to him. He didn't belong in that world. He had seen too much blood. He had learned to solve everything with violence. And above all, he felt that the North had humiliated his people. The war was over, but Jesse James did not stop. He had accumulated rage, a deep resentment, the feeling that the world owed him something. Jesse teamed up with his brother Frank and the younger brothers, also former guerrillas. Tough people, cold-blooded, soldiers without a war. Together they formed the most dangerous gang in the country. Jesse James died without seeing the face of his killer. His body slumped to the floor, without time for a final gesture. No duel, no poetic justice. The legend of the Robin Hood of the West collapsed. The real story was laid bare. Jesse James did not die a hero. If you want to keep exploring this world of outlaws and buried secrets, stay with me for part 2, where we'll meet Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, Belle Starr, Sam Bass, the Dalton Gang, and many others who made the Old West an even wilder place.